Hi, everyone, and welcome to the podcast for The She Shift. My name is Melissa Clark, and I'm founder of The She Shift. And The She Shift empowers and promotes women through various services and products. And I started this podcast as a way to highlight amazing women in various communities and what they're doing, and to share their businesses and their life journeys and their experiences to help and give you advice as well. So I'm thrilled today to have Heather Monahan. Welcome, Heather. Thanks for being here.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And Heather is an amazing woman. We connected via social media originally. And I've just been watching what you've been doing. And I know that Heather started out in the sales world as a saleswoman, a very successful saleswoman. And I know that you are also the founder of Boston Heels, which is amazing. So I'll have you tell us a little bit about that. And also the author of Confidence Creator. And I've seen a lot online about your book, and I'm really excited to hear more about that and really how you got to where you are today and what you're doing. And I know what you're doing empowers women, and that's what this is really all about, and sharing your story and your journey, your successes and challenges. So I know that you've been featured, and I know your book was or is a #1 Amazon seller, and you've been featured on various news outlets, and that's just it's an amazing it's amazing what you're doing and the visibility that you're bringing in to empower women. So I'm going to ask you to start off just to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started, and kind of just lead the way to your path and where you are today.
Sure. So I started out, my mother was a single mom. She had 4 kids. She worked 3 jobs. And, times are really tough when I was younger. We actually lived in a trailer at one point behind my grandparents' home, and food stamps were a part of our life. So when I was young, I just thought there was one lane and way that my life was, which was pretty dark. And then there was another way and lane that other people lived that I guess they were just born confident and beautiful and smart, but that I wasn't in that space. And as I grew older, one thing that I learned from not having a lot was that I wanted to really work as hard as possible so that I would always be able to have enough money to pay bills. And I just outworked everybody. From the time I was a little kid, I had a paper route. And then when I was old enough, I waited tables. And then when I was old enough, I bartended. And then I ultimately got into sales. And I always outworked everyone. So when, that was the only lever I could pull back then, because I didn't know there was other strategies. So I thought, this is the one way that I can win and come out on top. And it worked. And so, hard work really got me to that next level and got me noticed. Ultimately, when I was 24, I got the opportunity to become an equity partner in a radio company. And I took a $27 million property and turned it into a $55 million property in under 3 years. And that really put my name on, the map. People knew who I was, and I had created tremendous value in a very short window of time. And I went from there to a publicly traded company, and I saw an opportunity. They didn't have a vice president of sales over the whole company. And so I pitched myself for and was awarded the vice president of the company. And I had to make a mark in that. And I just outworked everyone in, sheer hard work and commitment. And I will say I had an ability in sales, and I had built some experience over the last decade in sales. So I knew what I was doing. And I went from there to pitch myself for a new position, executive vice president, and then chief revenue officer, all the while the company growing. And I received a lot of accolades, did very well, et cetera. And during that time, I got married, divorced, had a baby. So a lot happening, and moved to Miami. And then after 14 years at this one company, I reached the C-suite. And I was the only non-family member that was at that high level in the company. And the CEO that I had worked for years stepped down, promoted his daughter, and she fired me right away. And that moment was really interesting because I never thought I would be fired, because I'm an overachiever and I'm always getting promoted and getting raises and getting accolades. So it was a tough time for me. And I realized I had allowed a lot of self-worth and confidence to be affiliated with my paycheck, my title. And remember, I told you how I started out. So that safety of that big paycheck was more important to me than I had realized based upon where I came from. So I took that next couple of days to feel very sad. And then I decided to put together a plan. And I put together a 30-day plan, and I started crossing my days off, and I decided I was going to start writing. I didn't know what I was going to write, but I started writing. And then all of those individual steps ultimately took me to a place where I decided a couple weeks in, I'm writing a book. And then a couple weeks later, I decided I'm writing a book about how to build confidence. And then so all these little steps just kept taking me to that next place. All the while, I really didn't know where I was going. I just knew if there's any way I can build something and work for myself, I'll be the best boss I ever had. And I wanted to give that a shot. So it was really scary. But during that time, and during any time, when you move into fear, you are building confidence. Conversely, if I had backed off of the fear and gone back to another traditional job, I would have been chipping away at my confidence. And so that's, I use tremendous examples through my life of when I've been knocked down, arrested, fired, cheated on, whatever the story is. And in each one of those chapters, I tell a personal story as well as a tactic and lesson that I learned and that the reader can utilize as well. And while, I wrote this book for anyone, I don't care if it's for kids, teenagers, older people, men, women, I am told all the time that it's very relatable because I use the low moments of my life. I don't use my highlight reel. If you want to see my highlight reel, it's out there. It's on my YouTube channel and on my LinkedIn page. But if you want to see my low light reel, which I think is much easier to relate to because we've all had hard times. And unfortunately, in the fake world that we live in, when we look at people's highlight reels, we think, oh, they have it so much easier. They're smarter, more beautiful, more talented than me. And that's just not real. So I really try to hang on to those more difficult moments to illustrate my points and my strategies around building confidence.
Well, I think that, first of all, it's an amazing, journey of what you said. And I think that's a really good point. And that's why I always do this with anyone I'm interviewing, because we do see a lot of people of where they are today and their successes, but we really don't know the journey. And if you are an entrepreneur, even just if you are working in the corporate world or whatever you came from, life happens, and there's always the challenges that everybody has to face. So I think that is so important as a woman, as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, as an author, to really make it, highlight your successes, but also what led you to where you are today and everything that gave you that strength, that gave you that confidence. And I think being relatable to other people, picking it up and saying, I've been through something similar, or I can do this too, whether it be advancing in their own life, through, their personal life, through their professional life. So I think that that's a really important part of what you're doing in your book. And Confidence Creator is just, even when you just hear that title, it's like intriguing because you want to know more. And I think everybody in life always is looking for ways to build more confidence, because we all go through things from the time we're young until adulthood. And I think it's in any way where we can help build that. And that may be through, like you said, you experience these highs in your corporate job where you built the confidence. But I think also, again, when you take the step back and you experience those lows in life, and that helped you really, come out strong too. So I think it's a really relatable topic for everyone. And so I think that's amazing. And so I'll talk a little bit more about the book, but I want to know about Boss in Heels and what is that about?
So Boss in Heels was a community that I created when, I guess it was maybe 4 years ago, at work at my old job. I was in the C-level position. I decided I had reached a level of success that I wanted to give back and do more purpose-driven work. So I tried to launch an initiative at my company to really unify the women and share struggles and strategies and encouragement. And I launched it. It went phenomenal. And 2 weeks in, the same woman that fired me shut it down. And when she did that, I thought, okay, she can control me here in this space, but she can't control me in, the internet and on my weekends and nights. So I created Boss in Heels as a way to continue that initiative and allow access to information and community for others that I didn't have as a young person. And I really wanted everyone should have that same info. It shouldn't just be for people with very successful parents. So I really wanted to give back to that girl that I was and to that person that I was, and allowing people the insight of what it takes to get ahead, because it's not what I thought. It wasn't that you had to be born a certain way. No, you can be created any way that you want. And that's how I did it. I created it along the way. I had tremendous pitfalls because I didn't have the plan or the roadmap. And so Boston Heals originated around sharing all of that information, tools, tips, and tricks that I learned that were so powerful that I know so many people don't have access to, and creating community where others could ask questions and really, support one another. That was the entire initiative originally, and why I started Boston Heals.
So that's amazing too. And again, seeing what's happening in the world with women, and that's why, my business is called the She Shift, because there's a shift taking place, and something's happening where, women are empowering each other and building their own businesses and are advancing in workplaces. And, there's just this amazing support and energy. I think, you feel that. So, doing that and creating that for women, and I think also when you base it around your experiences as well, there's some kind of passion, you're very passionate about it, and that goes into it, which is, again, I think so many women are looking for that support, are looking, like you said, for the people to relate to that may not have come from a wealthy family or had a lot as a child. So building that kind of community is so important. And I always say also building a powerful and positive community for the next generation of female leaders, because I think it's really important when you talk about confidence. I think it's so important not to just build confidence as women as we are, even though there are a lot of women, of all ages who can build their confidence. But I think it's about also building and instilling that confidence in kids while they're young. And, especially like you said, being a parent and all of that, you're building the confidence within your children, especially in the world we live in now with, bullying and other issues. Confidence goes a long way for all ages. So, and again, personally and in your work life, and I think all throughout your life. So, and there's things that, also there's times when we can doubt ourselves and just not have that confidence, and there's something that we need. And it's a book like yours to really help us step back again and say, oh, these are things that we can do, or experiences that they can read about that they can relate to, and to, like you said, those tactics. I think that's very important. There's a lesson in everything to help people, step back and look at it like from an overall picture, and then say, these are ways I can build my own confidence. So again, I think that's, covering just confidence as a whole, with people, with business women, with men and children and everyone. So I think that's really important. But I think what you're doing in the community for women, again, going back to what's happening in the world, and it's really exciting time. I think it's a really an exciting era, and there's so much that's happening, and just so much positivity and empowerment through all different communities and regions. And I think just watching that, and we're lucky enough to have the technology too, to be able to see that virtually and happening all over the world, and all of these women. And I've witnessed just all of these amazing women like yourself doing things like you're doing, either writing or creating businesses or organizations to really be a platform and help and build other women up. So I think that's absolutely amazing. And so what are you focused on now? I know you have your book, and is there anything else you want to say about the book? I mean, I know you can definitely tell us where it's available, but also just anything that's included, who you're trying to work with, anything else that you'd like to mention about that.
The book just has countless, I think it's 43 chapters, and every chapter has a strategy and a tactic. So, whether it's firing certain words. So for example, I feel is a way to disempower yourself. And if you're in a meeting and you say, I feel that's a great idea, or you say, that's a great idea, let's move forward with it. Those are very different statements. And one is chipping away at your confidence and you don't realize it. And the other one is owning and building your strength in the workplace, in the room, in a relationship, and I talk about being bullied at work and what happens. And, when you have passive aggressive people bullying you and they're ignoring you. And so that's their strategy. And they're getting stronger by doing that because you sit there and say nothing by raising your hand and saying, hi, you didn't see me. I'm right here. Good to see you. It doesn't have to be a fight, but that tactic of speaking up and being friendly and allowing people to know I am here and I deserve a spot here. And that could be with your fiance's father or a boss at work. We're all going to deal with villains in our life. What is so important is learning how to manage those villains and then leapfrog right by them. And I've got a whole section on my book on how to deal with those people, because like you said, we're all going to have those challenges and those challenging times. So,
yes, exactly.
We need to have those tools.
Exactly. And so true. And, I think about sometimes the words that people say, same thing. And it could be even, when you're speaking or even through email and texting and messaging. I always say, when you're saying something like, I'm just following up with you, or like be more confident in your words, because that even comes through in technology. So
Absolutely.
you don't actually have to be verbally talking to somebody, but there are all of those different things that exude confidence, and there could be like those subtle little changes that you can make that will show your confidence and will help you internally build that. So that's really amazing. So if I always like to talk about, again, we talked a little bit about what led you to where you are today and some of your challenges. So if there was a woman or a young woman who's looking to you for advice regarding either building a business, starting a business, or just life confidence, what are some things you would tell her?
So journaling is really important in getting to know yourself, getting to reflect upon past struggles, how you overcame them, which gives you future strength. Also, really getting in tune with your intuition, which is key to succeeding in the world and key to building confidence. The more you can hear your inner voice and act upon it, the stronger and more powerful and more successful you will become, whether that's in art, in being a parent, being anything, really acting upon that inner voice and owning that true you are key steps to living the best life that you can. And this is coming from a person that for years tried to squash that inner voice, because that inner voice was telling me I shouldn't be in the situation I was in at work, but I was too scared back then to leave. So, I really do understand that the process of journaling, and I've kept a journal my whole entire life, has really helped me gain strength, see my own personal challenges, as well as really got me to start listening to myself, which has just been a profound experience. And once you get that inner voice queued up and nice and loud and start acting on it, you'll start taking steps towards opportunities that are going to better you. And then you can try to find your superpower. What is it about you that's really unique and powerful? And maybe it's that you're an amazing makeup artist, and when you hold a brush, you feel alive. So spend time there. Even if that's not your full-time job, find ways to spend time there. Maybe for you, it's cooking or gardening, whatever it is that gives you that joy, that you really feel it's like an innate ability that you have. Spend time there, find time for it, and more and better things will start happening, and you will get stronger and you'll get more clear. I don't think most people are dropped on this earth and just have it all figured out. It's more of a process and taking those baby steps, and you're not alone if you don't have it figured out yet, So even with my business, and I'm 43 years old, I've been in business for 20 something years and built and run companies so many times over. And today I'm running my own company nearly 1 year in, and still formulating that plan and next steps. It changes so frequently. It's about having that confidence in you and knowing that you're moving forward, and the path will become clear as you continue to go forward.
Great advice. And, you just said something that made me kind of think of another question, because there are a lot of people or women starting and trying to start businesses. And it is definitely, I think people think that things always just happen right away and all of these opportunities come. And if it's not happening that way, then they're failing or they should give up. And I think it's important to hear from somebody like you or, other women just about even your experience in starting a business, because I think people tend to just stop or just give up. And I think it's important for them to know that every entrepreneur has a journey that they go through, and it really does take so much hard work, so much dedication, so much consistency to really build anything. So what are your thoughts on that? Because you mentioned that briefly, and I wanted to just get your advice that you would give somebody who's just starting out, who's maybe struggling a little bit.
Well, if success was easy, everyone would have it, right? So just knowing that you're struggling means you're in the game. Failure is giving up. You can look around the world and so many people, and I've got this life experience, so I can share this, and it's so powerful and true. So many people that I meet that are exceptionally successful, they always say the difference between them and the other guy is they just kept trying. You keep getting the no's, you keep pivoting and reinventing and trying something different till you find a way to make it work. The people that give up are the ones that go to those comfortable jobs and live a life that's really not their fullest and most proud and most meaningful. The people that continue to find ways to overcome the challenges, work through them, and stay committed to their vision, those are the ones that will succeed. So really flipping it around, failure is giving up on it, and that's failing. Failure is not that I was told no today and what I thought was going to happen didn't work out. That means, okay, pivot. Now I go here and, I'll start working towards this. It doesn't mean that's a sign to give up. It means if you don't believe in your vision wholeheartedly, why would anyone else? So you've got to just own that and keep that image and picture in your mind and keep people around you that believe in you and are stretching you instead of trying to hold you back. And a lot of us have people that mean well, but will say, this is too risky and I don't want you to get hurt. And those are their own self-limiting thoughts being put on you. It's up to you to accept receiving them or to push them back and say, appreciate your sentiment, but I'm going forward. And then to reconvene with people who think more along the lines that you do.
That's fantastic. So where do you see yourself? I mean, a lot of people have, certain goals that they want to accomplish, and you're starting, you have your business and your book. So what are some of your goals going forward? And what also, second to that, what kind of legacy would you like to leave?
So, goals, it's not clear yet. I'm pitching a TV show about empowering women. I'm pitching a movie about my book. I'm working with a Latina version of my book with a Latin woman. I'm working on a franchise with an agent around confidence creator for different people, salespeople, single mothers, children, etc. So there's a lot of different moving parts right now. I'm working on some product that comes out of my book, some ways to create confidence that are, I illustrate in the book, and then bringing those to life. There are so many different things happening. I'm not sure which one's going to be that right avenue, but I know that they're all within that umbrella of empowering others. And that legacy for me, if I can leave a legacy that I have shown people and taught people how they can be their own confidence creator for their own life, game over. That's a legacy I'll be so excited to have.
That's fantastic. And I think it's interesting because, just again, with your talking about goals and kind of just taking things day by day and seeing where it goes, but kind of your overall mission and passion and what you want to do, but your path may be different than you actually plan, so to speak, which happens to a lot of people. So I think your response is very relatable and interesting, because you may say, well, this is how I want it to go in the next 5 years, but it may not go that way, but that's okay because it's a different path leading to the same outcome.
That's why I don't even say this is how I want it to go anymore, because having gone through what I've gone through in life, I realize it's not about what I want. It's about just taking those next steps and working towards that ultimate overarching vision and watching how things start materializing.
Yeah. And I think that's just a great lesson for people to maybe be mindful in the moment and just kind of take things as they come. And so that's fantastic. So where can we find out more information about your book and your business and more about what you're doing?
So my book is on Amazon. Amazon and Audible are, the primary places to find my book. You can read all the reviews there, and, it will answer your questions. There's an overview on the book. There's an author page. Everything you need to know is there. Also on Goodreads as well. And my personal website is heathermonahan.com. And that thing is chock full of, I have, free ebooks on how to create confidence. I have a partner accountability email list that you get an email every morning from me about how to stay committed to building your confidence. I have videos on there. I'm also working on a video product on how to build confidence. So there's a lot of stuff there at heathermonahan.com, all aimed to help.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, and I'll definitely list your information as well so people can find you too. And I'm so happy to have you. And thank you so much for being an inspirational woman. And we look forward to seeing what's coming up next, and really following you and all that you're accomplishing and the confidence that you're creating in others. So thank you so much, Heather. I appreciate it.
Thank
And
you, Melissa. I
look
appreciate
forward to
you.
staying in touch. Thanks so much.
Thank you.